And welcome back everybody to another exciting edition of Sparkling Tuna Cup number 9. I'm of course your host Light VIP, and with me is the lovely, the beautiful, the unshaven. Welcome everyone, Chase!
Self-conscious now, right? I do need to shave. Yes, welcome back to number 9 of the Sparkling Tuna Cup. That's 9, Light, if you can't.
Oh, that is 9.
So many cups we've had. Yes.
Yeah, we almost have 2 hands of cups.
What happens when we have the 11th?
We start counting with our toes. I don't know if we can do that on Twitch.
We go back to 1. Probably not yet. I'm sure there's a website for that.
Oh,
but here we go. We got a pretty cool matchup to start today. Like, spawning in the bottom left position, we have got, I want to say a new face, but he was here last week as well. He's a Finnish player, playing all the way over from Europe. So, playing it for Kova Esports. Please welcome Mixu.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, he is fresh out of the military. It's his first tournament back since competing. He is, of course, representing Team GP. It is Control. Team GP.
KOV. Like, you know that JSL intros, and they're like, oh man, they had the coolest way to introduce them, but But yeah, and we have a gold mineral map today, Light.
Oh.
But do you know where? Oh, you're right. I wasn't even looking at those ones, but yes, you did find the gold minerals. Unfortunately, they cannot be mined.
Yeah, I hate it. It makes literally no aesthetic sense. I hate this so much. It's yeah, we're producing, we're like mass farming these gold minerals, and they're nowhere on the map, mate.
Maybe that's why there's none left. It's because they've all been like mined already. Now they're getting ready to be processed. But we do have to give up for these 2 players because we've got 2. I want to say Control's a familiar face, but he hasn't been around for a while. He went to the military. It's great to have him back. And Mixu has played last week, but we didn't really get a chance to cast him, but we do today. So
yeah,
little matchup to start.
There's kind of a lot going. There's like layers to what's going on right now, right? Like, one, I of course want to welcome you back as well, because you know it feels like it's been too long since we've casted together on the channel. So it's great to have you back once again, Chase. I appreciate
sanity is still intact, and I'm here to ruin it.
It's true. I do need my break from Chase every now and then. Yeah. But you're correct. You know, for those who are unfamiliar with Control, he was a pro player, or I guess like an up and coming semi-pro a couple of years ago. Didn't quite break into the scene, but he was very active, and now he is back. And as soon as he got discharged from the military, he's back to compete. He got immediately picked up by Team GP. It was insane.
Yeah, it was great. And Control, he's a very lovely person too. He's you know, very friendly. Someone on the ladder who, if you run into him, he'll ask you how you are, how you've been, and it's just good to see. He had a lot of updates via Twitter. You know, he always wanted to come back, and it's great to actually see him now. But he's going up against quite an enigma of a Zerg player here. I believe he has 6k on the European ladder, Mixu.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Mixu's debut, as he does end up sniping that Reaper. Nice pick off there. But his debut was last week in Sparkling Tuna Cup. We didn't get to cast him. This is actually the very first time we're casting Mixu on the Cranky Ducklings, so it's still technically his debut in a way, on this channel at least. And I'm excited to see what he has to offer. Not just because, you know, he's a little bit more unknown to us, but also because he's a bit of a rarity. He's a Zerg player, and we don't get a lot of them down here.
We actually, I mean, you say it, you're not lying, we don't have a lot of Zerg players, especially from Europe. And I think if there's one thing I know about Zerg players, is that the Korean players and the European players are very distinctly different in their style. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see the typical EU Zerg style from Mixer, if he's going to play for the late game and, you know, be quite passive, or if he's actually someone, as you said, he's a bit of a wild card, so if he's someone who does a bit more aggression. So we'll have to see. But meanwhile, we see Control, as Mixu takes his 3rd base. It looks like he's going for a 2-1-1 build, so an old reliable in that regard.
Exactly, and Mixu does kind of know a little. Oh, yeah, he knows 100%. His Overlord dips in, he confirms the opener. I was about to say that, the lack of Hellions is a bit of a tip-off, but he knows 100% what is coming his way, so he knows, not to be overly greedy when it comes to droning. He knows he has to be ready for that drop once it does come across the map. But again, he has already achieved half of the battle, right? He now knows that a drop should be coming his way soon.
Yeah, really good Overlord scouting pattern. It's something that some Serral's especially fond of it. What they do is they kind of swing around behind the natural mineral line and get in that kind of awkward position so that they can scout the main base and kind of come in from an angle that's not probably expected by the Terran player. But as we see here, Control moving out with his 2 medevacs. This Ling, I'm not sure if it is patrolling or it's just a spotter, but it's going to see it regardless. But anyway, we've got Lings on the way for Mixu as well, so it's going to come down to the micro.
Oh yeah, it's going to be about the micro, about the queen positioning. We already have 6 queens here in between all the bases, ready to meet said drop, and the drop does land out here outside of the creep. So honestly, this drop shouldn't do too much. We'll see how good the control is from Control.
Yeah, the thing is, you think of 2-on-1, you think drone damage, you think you got these fast 2 medevacs and marines. You really want to kind of damage the Zerg in any capacity, mainly economic-wise, but what Control's doing here is also equally as viable. You can just clear and keep. Great surround by Mixu, actually. He's going to get one of the medevacs at all.
Oh my god!
I was just about to say, I was like, he can just, keep the Marines alive for a follow-up push, but Mixu just jumped on it.
Mate, Mixu baited Control so hard. As you were pointing out, I love the army movement of Mixu there, just corralling him into that massive surround. There was no way in, no way out, and that was a very nice, handling of the 2-on-1.
Yeah, indeed, and we know, we have a 3rd medevac coming now, and that 2nd medevac will be sorely missed here, but a Widowmine being added here. The Widowmine kind of adds a bit of a dynamic here that it forces Zerg. They can't really commit a lot of units, otherwise the mine will snipe it. So it's a bit of zonal control for Control, and he's just going to clear some creep up here.
Not just creep, unfortunately the Lings were a little bit out of position, so what was that, 2-3 queens just got picked off, 3 queens in total, so at least he's able to avenge his fallen comrades a little bit, but he has to be oh so careful to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, indeed, little backup. Nice micro there from Mixu. He even tried, I think he might have tried to put some Lings under the medevac to damage him. It's pretty cute, but yeah, I guess losing 3 queens pretty big. But given the current game state, how we lost a medevac for Control, he's got a 3rd CC on the way he's about to land. It's nothing too major, but this counter attack, it could catch Control off guard here.
Yeah, thankfully there are rallying forces here, but no, the wall is not a wall. The Lings, they don't just get into the natural, they get into the main. Oh my god.
Yeah, meanwhile, Control's pushing the front tube with Veiling speed. Won't be able to get anything done, even that mine not picking anything off. And this is just, Control just back from the military, a bit fresh first tournament. Just a bit of rust on his part, letting these Lings in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he does have army here at home to deal with it, but oh my god, one of the racks, 2 racks cancelled. One of them was killed, actually. So these Lings getting far more damage than they ever really should have.
Yeah, it's not Pog at all. When we see, you've got these 2 tanks in the main as well, and it looks like Control, he's not going to finish off these Lings, he's more focused on just clearing the creep over here. He did bring the army back, but these Lings are getting so many SCV kills in the main.
Oh my god, they're still going! Oh my god! Eventually they do get cleaned up at 14 SCVs, plus a kill on the racks and a cancel and pulling the army back. That was disastrous. I almost want to say Control is almost all in here with his push, he needs to get more damage done than just denying a base.
Yeah, it looks like thankfully, or actually not thankfully, this is actually the, I want to say 6th base, maybe? Oh wait, 1, 2, 3. That's the 5th base, apologies. But yeah, Mixu doesn't need to engage off creep here, sees his 3 tanks probably back off. And as he said, he doesn't really need to, worry about losing his space. He's already got a 4th thing outside the map. He might even go for a counter attack here.
Oh yeah, exactly. Lings and Banes are going across that. Meanwhile, ooh, that was a kill, not a cancel. Okay, all right, a great first step here for Control. He's actually going to get a couple of Overlords as well. Oh my god, 3 Overlords for free.
Yeah, this is actually a decent position that he's getting. It looks like Mixu is still a bit indecisive. I don't know if he wants to counterattack or come back. Control watching his army very good. We see that worker count slowly coming back up for Control, but when you Zerg's done 83 workers for so long. Just look at all these units he's made, lad. And I think we're about to see a very strong surround here by Mixu.
This is where I hate that I can't zoom out even further. Here we go. The mass surround does collapse on the army. Control gets absolutely cleaned up. Every single tank does go down. But at the same time, Control, he has another double drop here towards the north, and he continues to deny the 5th base.
Yeah, indeed. And this is pretty good. It would be better if he was denying the 4th base, but good cancel. That's actually no cancel there. Just a good kill there. But thing with Control is, as he loses his drop on the right hand side, his tank count did get reset, losing those 3 tanks from the large surround. And he does have one over here, but he has to be very careful, because if he gets cleaned up a bit too efficiently, he risks a big counter attack coming this way.
Yeah, as you said, tanks are so well, especially defensively, but we only have 2 tanks out on the map right now. Meanwhile, Mixu once again getting ready for a massive flank, run by, surround, either or. I just love the Ling movement of Mixu that he's portrayed like this entire game.
Yeah, he's even borrowed a Ling at that potential 4th base, which is pretty cute. And you don't see that too often. It's very taxing on the APM to use Burrow, but look at this timing, like under the Metavax too.
No! Yeah, Control, please! Oh no! Oh god, okay, he's okay, he's safe, he's safe.
Yeah, the thing with Burrow is like, your opponent has no idea until they see it for the first time, right? As we have a drop in the main base, we'll get cleaned up, but he will scout the Hive and the Lurker down, and that's got to be bells for what's his name? For Control.
What are you saying right now?
I'm sorry.
This is what, the 3rd kill of a hatchery? Never mind, the Banelings on board. They're gonna pulse around. The Banelings do crash in with everything, clean the army up. Mixu, for the first time, actually holds on to his 5th base, just barely.
Yeah, indeed. We actually saw Control. He tried to focus fire at the very last minute with that last tank, but it did get taken out. And looking at the supply and just the map, it's looking very dominant now for Mixu. Control's almost got a 4th base finished, but when you go up against a Zerg with Hive Tech and you're forced to kind of, choose between Liberators or Metavacs with 1 starport, it's not a great situation. And there's a Ghost Academy too, but he'll need to probably get a 4th base secured before he can really commit into that tech switch.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, that 4th is now done, and finally Control can start getting it. But as he's getting a 4th, the 5th is going to be saturated shortly here for Mixu. He's working on a 6th base as well. You were talking about that Hive earlier. Vipers are on the way. +3 is on the way. He's getting ready to transition into Lurkers even, as he already has all the tech structures.
Yeah, he's even got +1 on the way. he's getting all the upgrades. Hydra supplementing the army, +1 range. Control going to be securing this 4th base eventually, since it's how on the other side. These libs, so when you only want just 1 starport, I'm not too sure how I feel about this, and Mixu's going to try and deny this 4th base already.
Yeah, gets a little bit ahead of himself, does shave off or does throw away a bunch of Lings. Meanwhile, the Liberators are now headed towards those bases, and you know what, they are going to be able to find some damage here.
Yeah, indeed. Cute little setup here, and the Queen and the Spores are out of position. Even SCV can't block the Spore, who knows, man. But he's going to force that Lib to lift off, and we have a double Nidus on the way, lad. Do you know what that means? It doesn't mean good news for the Terry.
No, it does. It means we're going to see some Niduses in the main base. We already see the Overseer en route to said main base. We do have a Sensor Tower, but you know what? It's not going to stop this. It's not going to stop the Nidus.
Yeah, he's actually dodging the Sensor Tower. He's got that very meticulous path. Gonna snipe this base, however, good pickup for Control, and the army's quite out of position, but I feel like there's not many Lurkers on the field actually. There's only 1 with 3 to come. This Nidus may not be as decisive as we might think.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really going to come into play, at least until Mixu does kind of refine his army a little bit more. As you said, he has a lot of supply in Ling Bane, which may not be the best. I mean, it's still amazing, don't get me wrong. Speaking of, oh god, Control, please! No, split puppy, no!
Ooh, not bad, actually. Reasonable splits, yeah. I like to call this Zerg unit comp the light unit comp, because you always do this in ZVT. But here we go, big run by the Third's in trouble. Does wall off the natural, however, this is not good for Control.
Exactly, his army was out of position. He is going to eventually clean all of those up, but 15 plus SCVs are falling, and the Lurkers are here to defend. I say Lurkers, there's only 2 of them, but you know what? 2 Lurkers, they're pretty good. Oh, never mind. What?
You never know. When you don't really have detection, it could be 2 Lurkers, it could be 50, and there we go, double Nidus in the main. Nothing coming out, but it is forcing a reaction from Control, and when he's stretched thin with those run-bys, you gotta, don't want to have units in your main.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Lings try to go for a bit of a surround, but again, it was a little bit mistimed with the rest of the army. But again, this army is still looking pretty terrifying. More importantly, we have our Vipers here to help shut down those tanks with the Blinding Clouds, and 5 more Lurkers are on the way.
And not only that, but we got about 50 Lings in the main as well. They're just streaming out the Zerg invasion. Control is already stretched so far. He's got to keep this line on the western side of the map, but how can he deal with his production under assault like this?
He's trying. He's sending his reinforcements back home to try and clean all this up. Thankfully, in the main base, there are no Lurkers or there are no Banelings. So Marines can clean this up, but again, as you said, so much is going down, and it's all going to come down to this one big push.
Yeah, even on Burrow, those Lings he had at the third base and Control, he is super all in right now, but when when you're on a timer against Lurker Baneling, like, tell me how that goes for the Terran, especially when you got siege tanks in your control.
Exactly, like how do you push into all these Lurkers? You don't have a Viper, you don't have any Blinding Clouds. Oh my god, yoink after yoink, all the tanks do go down. We do see the Marine trying to step on board, but no, the Link Bait is here to beat it.
Yeah, and these tanks with no support left over. Mixu will take game number 1. First Control. And I got to say, like, despite Control, being a bit rusty and falling behind a couple times, he put up a pretty reasonable fight that game.
No, yeah, that was an intense ZVT. As you said, Control was kind of the one making a couple more mistakes here and there. But considering this is his first tournament back, I'm impressed because Control is only going to get better from here. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Also ready. As you said, this is his first tournament coming back. He'll get that. I'm sure he'll sign up, especially being part of Team GP. He'll be very motivated. Funara Kuro. That feel when no one remembers that Mixu played SDOs. That must have been quite some time ago.
What? I didn't even know this. I didn't even know.
Can I Funara anyway?
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%.
Oh wait, which server are we? Oh, hold on. You know what time of the day it is. Give me a second. I forgot it was a European.
God damn it, Chase.
Do you know what server it is? Is it
Central. Yeah, they alternate west, central, west.
Okay, cool. That's StarCraft Central. There we go. Let me in. I'm ready.
Aye. All right, here we go. Also, I'm just quickly checking on Wikipedia because the name Mixu was familiar to me. I did recall, but yeah, I didn't know how far back we went. My god.
Oh man, yeah. I didn't recall either, but I've been casting for like 2 months, so that's my excuse. Light.
I can
you
see.
got some. I'm gonna Fanara you now. Actually.
Mate. Oh my god, the feels. I may message him after this to see if he remembers. He played in Sea Duckling Open number 9. He was Diamond back in 2017.
That was a very long time ago. I'm not sure if he would remember that, but he's just popping off, isn't he? And we got the big gay portrait as well from Mixu, but
yeah.
Does this mean he's an OG?
Yeah, he's the equivalent. Now he's like the equivalent of Starduck and Oreo, basically. Back in the day, back in 2017, 2018, they were Diamond, and now they're GM. They're at the top of their own respective regions. Pretty sick.
Yep. Popping off and you can claim all the thanks for that because I don't know because he played STO once. But here we go. Speaking of the man. Playing for Kova Esports, the bottom left, he is the Zerg player from Finland. He is a STO champion.
No, he never won an STO.
Okay, I'll rub it in for you, lad. It is Mixu.
Oh my god! And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the Korean Terran player himself, the now ex-military Terran representing Team GP. It is Control.
Team GP is quite a big team too, isn't it?
They got a lot of players. They have a wide range of like a skill as well. It's great to see that they're willing to invest into a player who, again, is only recently coming back. So it's really cool how supportive they are of their boy.
Yeah, for sure, and it'll be quite a boom for Control being able to have those teammates at their disposal. As we all know, it's funner and easier to learn when you have people to bounce off, especially such accomplished players such as GP Rex. But yes, Mixu on the other hand, not too familiar with Covert Esports. I assume maybe a Finnish team, maybe.
Yeah. Fun fact: there are only 2 active members, and you should be familiar with the second one, and that is Zhuge Liang.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I remember a funky story with him and Nation Wars, all killing or something. I don't remember.
I remember him doing a ceremony where I think he put on like the Darth Vader helmet.
Oh yeah. He did beat someone. I don't remember who it was, but it was quite a shock. Cool to have some. Finland. It's not the biggest kind of even though despite it has Serral, it's not the biggest region land, but it's cool to have some kind of homegrown organic teams that support their players.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, an esports team dedicated for that. Typically Serral, of course, he is kind of the big name in Finland, but there are, other players there as well, and I imagine Serral's success has really helped them out as well, putting StarCraft on the map for Finnish esports. So yeah, it's pretty sick how that's all kind of come together, and we'll see if that is going to culminate in a prestigious Sparkling Tuna Cup victory, because Mixu, mate, he was looking pretty good. He was looking pretty good in the last game.
He did look good in the first game, yeah, and even though Serral's not on Covert Esports, he is on Onse, which is another Finnish organization. So, and we have to keep in mind Zhu Yang and Mixu are both Zerg players like Serral, so I'm sure they'll have some influence over how they play here. But yeah, today's not about Serral, it's about Mixu and how he goes against his opponent Control, who is going for a 3cc opener here, like.
Oh yeah, 3rd CC before Starport for Control, so much more standard and economic opener from Control, nowhere near as aggressive as the 2-1-1, and I guess that kind of brings us all back to the opener of Control, where the mistakes started to kind of come in there. If you remember, he did end up losing a full medevac full of units to begin game 1 off, which was a hard place to come back from, but he fought so hard, and now this time he won't have to worry about that, hopefully.
Yeah, no, a lot of people, they tend to kind of overlook the early game a little bit, but it's actually very crucial. As we see a run by here, no, Control going to back off, grab some tumors, but the earlier you invest into units, the more precious they are, and that goes for both workers and units indeed, like just attacking units, like the medevac that Control lost. And once he lost that bit of momentum so early on, we saw Mixu, even though he lost a couple queens himself, he was in a great position. So I'd like to see a little bit more, pardon the pun, control from Control this game around. But I'd like to see him be a bit more careful with how he utilizes his forward units.
Yeah, and I mean, mate, he's going to be utilizing them quite well. A bit of a shame he's already lost 2 Hellions, and that's pretty crucial because this madman is working towards a Hellbat push, and Armory is hidden in the main base. So every single Hellion he loses means that this push is going to be that much weaker.
Yeah, and we did see he actually lost a Hellion before. What you'd normally see with Hellbat builds is players tend to kind of be a bit conservative with their Hellions. As Yaku points out, that it was Zhu Yang who beat Su, forcing Team Korea to not be able to ace match with his Pog, but here's his backup Hellions, and I'm not sure if Mixu knows about this yet.
Yeah, he actually was never able to scout that armory, so here we go. The Hellbats are pushing on forward. Thankfully for Mixu, he already had a Baneling nest. Banelings are being morphed in. He needs a little bit more time to get them up and running, and once he has them, he can hold. But until then, it's going to be close, but they're going to finish.
Yeah, I think that is a lot of Banelings, and without these splits by Control, a little bit awkward, he'll hold. One little benefit we saw here, Light, as Mixu cleans this up, is the creep spread. It was about 5 520 or so when this hit, and that bought so much time for Mixu to get those Banes all the way back, and he wasn't really near any mineral lines threatening with that push control, so he's going to lose his Viking as well, and already this is a commanding position for our Finnish Zerg.
Yeah, we were talking about that early game, and we saw that that did kind of fall on its face here. Mixu, now he has full map control. Now there are 0 Hellions to try and stop and hinder the creep spread. So now Mixu, he's free to drone, he's free to creep. Then we go 7 more drones in production. All of our upgrades, like he is free to do whatever he wants now.
Yeah, we see a macro hatch going down this liberator control. He's a bit behind, and he might get a bit more behind if he doesn't get damage here, but he's just throwing units like... And this is just not going to work out, because we look at the workers killed, it is 0. It is not looking too good, but at least he's got his third base secured.
He does. That's the silver lining here. There's that third base for control. He does have a decent worker count. But again, like I'd be surprised if he pushes out anytime soon. I'm gonna get like some Davo vibes, right? If he does, where he kind of leaves his bases completely unattended and just goes YOLO and just sends drops across the map because he has to do something. That's the kind of pressure that he's under.
Yeah, indeed, and meanwhile, with all this pressure, all these units being taken out, we see their creep spread going mad for Mixu, and even though Control, as we said, has secured that third base, he's got the infrastructure up, he's going to have to start cutting this creep down soon, because as the further we go into this game, the more kind of map control comes into it, and creep spread is just wonderful for Zerg for that. So as we see a scan here, he's going to start going for it.
Yeah, as you said, Korean Terran has to kind of take back control of the map if possible, but oh god, he has to be a little bit careful. He did clear a lot of creep, but a couple of Marines were left behind. Unfortunately, they couldn't all fit in that one medevac. Feels bad, man.
Unfortunately, but yeah, and we've already what Control's kind of thrown away trying to get damage done. I feel like he feels kind of pressured a bit to get damage done with what he has, but he has to be careful, because if he pushes too hard trying to get some creep or pick off a Baneling or two, he can put himself further behind, and as we see, a risky drop in the main here as he moves across the map as well.
Yeah, unfortunately there are a couple of spores already in position, so the medevac the medevac goes down at the same time. He was a little bit distracted. He was making sure he didn't lose his double drop, but the medevac feels bad.
Yeah, the 2 Marines, those spores are kind of set up that like you can enter but you can't leave, and we saw that as these Marines too, and Mixu's playing fantastic this game so far, and he's just macroing up still. He's lost only 1 drone really, he's up to 95, so expect to see a lot of Ling Bane being thrown around. We got some Hydras being added in too.
Oh yeah, he's working towards his final form, right? Ling Bane is done, we're gonna have the Infestation Pit for Hive, we're gonna have a Lurker Den for Lurkers as well. Like Mixu, he has the freedom to just tech into everything. Meanwhile, Control, like he's still fighting back, don't get me wrong, he's actually working on a big push here on the left hand side of the map, and he has cleared a lot of creep here, so I mean, maybe he can push on forward and ideally take out this base.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to push on this left-hand side, and 3 tanks normally it can be quite scary, but with this force here that Mixu has, it's just, we might actually run into this too, and
the Banelings roll on forward. The tanks do siege up in time. The splits are pretty good, so Control did lose a handful of Marines, but again, not the worst thing in the world here for him, as he at least keeps all the tanks alive.
Yeah, that is good. Very Bane heavy army, which isn't the greatest versus versus tanks, but we see Lings coming as a supplement, and there's actually a bit of pressure going on everywhere by Control, so it's buying time for him, but he has to be careful, because last time he played like this, Lings got in the counter, there's nothing at him to defend, and he just kind of got in a bit of trouble that way.
Yeah, and Mixu, he had a choice. Do I want to counterattack or do I want to go for the surround? And the surround is the option. He's setting himself up behind the army of Control. He's going to collapse from both sides, and we see the full complete surround. Bailey's crash on forward. There were no splits, and everything gets cleaned up.
Yeah, that was very commanding there. Actually, as we see, it was a push before 2-2 timing, and normally when you go for that timing, you kind of want to conserve as many units so it's as effective as possible. A bit of a bold morph there, but Mixu, I'm not too sure about this push here. There's not many Banes left. It looks like he might get the surround on units.
Yeah, I mean, the balls on this man to go in with only 3 Banelings, but I guess that is going to be enough. There was just an overwhelming amount of Ling Hydra. Who needs Lurkers, mate? Shaking my head, Asher, bro. Ling Bane Hydra is all you need.
Indeed, and this is a very kind of risky, fragile situation here for Control. He's getting his extra barracks up, he's securing his 4th base. He's quite down in supply, but it looks like Mixu, when you're sitting on 95 drones, you don't need to force any issue, but it looks like he's just gonna, feel things out. He's hive up, maybe attack if he sees the opportunity, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if he does commit here.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, this is maybe best case scenario for Control, but here we go. Mixu, okay. I was thinking about pulling the trigger. I was about to say that if Mixu tunnel visions too much and stays on Lingbane Hydra, like, maybe that's best case scenario for Control, but he backs off. Lurker Den's on the way, Vipers are on the way, Adrenal Glands as well. Mixu, he's not going to tunnel vision and throw away any kind of lead.
Yeah, that's right. Why would you don't need to attack. You don't need to take an unfavorable trade when you're sitting on like 30 more workers than your opponent. But yeah, he's found a bit of an avenue here. No planetary. Cute little burrow. Like, you just see it go.
Oh god.
Oh, this tank. Oh, the debate tank.
The problem is my body isn't ready for this. Usually I save this for like disruptors, right? Like when the Novas come out, it's like, oh. But
you see that? Control just tried to build a CC on the Burrowed Banes.
Yeah, the SCB, he can't do it.
It didn't work.
He doesn't know.
I wonder if he's gonna notice. But yeah, we have Marauders coming in the mix here, but we have that double Nidus like from last game. I know where this is heading.
Yeah, the double Nidus is back, but is it even going to come into play? We do see Mixu turning around. He wants to maybe try and fight, but no, he decides not to. Oh god, no! He does, but the splits are pretty good. My god, the reaction time for Control is insane.
Yeah, they are, and there's quite a few tanks, but we see Control is kind of pushing. Without this tank support, they were unsieged, and the Marine count is still quite decent, but again, we see this creep spread. It's just going to buy so much time for our finish Zerg.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take so long for Control to really mop this up and make his way through all this creep. Meanwhile, we do see a bit of a Ling run right on the right-hand side. Nothing here to defend, only a single tank. And oh, the tank is going to get surrounded.
The tank will fall. There's no wall at this 4th base location. 3rd base, sorry, but now with the Vipers, those tanks are built up. This is going to be a very one-sided fight, lad, I can tell you now.
I was about to say, yo, 6 tanks, let's go. But 6 tanks means 2 blinding clouds is all you need. That Bailey's roll on forward. The potential was there, but the spread of tanks was not. And Mixu once again deals with the army, but the reinforcements? Oh.
Yeah, actually, if these Marauders coming in, it's not too bad for Control. He did lose all of his tanks, really, but with these Marauders, they're not too great versus Lingbane, however. And if he can clean up and maybe hold on, he can get something done, but it's a tug-of-war, and Zerg is just spamming units, man. He's had this drone camp for so long, and Control's forced to retreat.
It's one of those things where I have to give so much credit to Control and his macro and the way that he's just been able to produce such an army and just be as aggressive as possible. But likewise, Mixu, due to that drone count, like, he can also keep up with Control. And now this is what we were worried about. We have our double Nidus. We have our Lurkers.
Oh no, hide your SCVs, hide your ashes. The Lurkers are here as Control now losing that many tanks. That makes this just that much worse because these Lurkers can just run in, and they haven't quite got the range upgrade just yet. But we now see as the kind of infrastructure of Control, it allowed him to be more defensive against the swarm of Zerg, but it's so hard to engage into Lurkers in tight spots. So if Mixer gets in deep enough on top of the production, these buildings on the outside, Control could be hurting.
Oh yeah, he really can. Meanwhile, Control, he's still being active though, as the Lurkers are trying to find their way towards his 3rd base. We do see a double jump on the left-hand side of the map. Lurkers are looking a little bit exposed. We finally see that scan. The Bailings were finally cleaned up, but the Lurkers are here, and there's no real answer for them.
Yeah, that's right. There's kind of 2 channels that the Terran can come from here, but I guess Mix is helping out by increasing the surface area, but we just see this action everywhere. Drop to the bottom right, a Lurker harassing the top left, and both these players are playing really well and showing off their multitasking here.
Yeah, here we go. Another double drop here at the 4th base. It looks like it will be cleaned up, but he does go straight into the main. Meanwhile, the hatchery was killed, not cancelled on the right-hand side. So Control is dealing damage, but unfortunately, Mixu can afford these losses, and Control really can't afford to lose a mining base like this.
Yeah, indeed. We see that these Vipers especially just nullify that defensive advantage of the Terran player. There's no really Vikings or anything. As we see again, he's stuck on just 1 starport, which I'd prefer to maybe see a second, given the game state with Zerg going to Hive Tech, but it's just so hard for Control to kind of deal with these. Because he uses the Vipers to get the Nidus in the main. And how does he work here? It looks like he's just going to go across and just give up this position.
Yeah, he's had it. Oh no, but he misses with the scan. There's still a lurker out of range. There's still so many lurkers to deal with. I don't know if he's going to have enough scans here, especially because he just lost one of his CCs. Oh my god!
Well, yeah, he's actually microing this fight reasonably well, but unfortunately, I don't know if there's any scans left, lad, as these lurkers just dealing damage, and it's never a good thing to see, with Terra with more units lost than the Zerg. That's what we have here, especially Zerg has 95 drones all game.
Pretty much, like his economy just hasn't been hindered. Mixu's been losing a couple of hatcheries here and there, but not really when it comes to those drones. Meanwhile, the lurkers are pulling control apart. We have the Nices in the main base. The Ghost Academy gets surrounded. GG gets called, and Mixu will take the series 2-0.
Yeah, very dominant display. That was an exciting match, lad. I miss ZVT. I miss seeing his Zerg players, man. It's just so good, but as we saw, like, it wasn't just, like one player sieging the other with lurkers or tanks. There's action all across the map at all times, and Mixu, despite everything that happened, he only lost about 10 or 11 drones that game, so he played phenomenally, and it's just unfortunate for Control, but he's just come back. He'll only get better, but a strong start for our Finnish Zerg player.
Exactly. Like, again, as a reminder to everyone, Control, he did return from the military. I think he was discharged less than a week ago. Like, he just recently came back. And despite that, we were so impressed with how he played. Like, as you said, this was a very back and forth and entertaining series that we were able to cast. I wish we get to see more TvZs, but alas, usually isn't the case in these tournaments. It's usually PvPs and PvPs. And, we gotta cherish these moments together, Chase. We gotta cherish them.
Yeah, indeed. And Light, I have to Funara you because we already have our first semi-finalist, and it's because Team GP Curry, Stephen Curry, got a walkover over Starduck.
Oh my god.
Surprising.
Exclamation mark KS2 in the chat. Funada, this man, Funada Starduck for not showing up. He had 15 minutes and he did not show. Why did he not show? That's a good question. Did he go to bed, or is he just playing more Kerrigan Survival? That's these are good questions.
Or is he writing Protoss propaganda in Discords? We'll never. I'm sure we will know actually, but yeah, unfortunately, we love seeing Australian representation, especially. So hopefully Starduck, he'll be back next week. If not, I guess congratulations to Stephen Curry for making the semis already. But if we look through the rest of the bracket, we have got Art versus Nax and Rush as our round 2. We have got Gerald versus Hon Mono, who is a Korean Terran player, and Bystalk versus Mixu, our next round games.